around the room you're in right now. It probably has 4 walls. It may have a flat ceiling. And if you move the furniture out, it is probably just a giant shoebox. And you can't do much to change it, right? Engineer Burcin Becerik-Gerber was always bothered with the question, why must buildings be so static?
You come here, sit on a chair, you're present here, but your presence doesn't mean much in terms of a kinetic space or the space changing for you. It's almost like you're renting the space. It's like it's not your space, you don't own it. And it's not kind of your friend that changes with you or understands you and sometimes comforts you, sometimes makes you feel better.
She wants to use engineering to change the way that we interact with the buildings that we live, work, study, and play in, so that they react to our feelings. Burcin's dream house changes its colors, its shapes, and the ambiance based on the feelings of the person who is inside.
It's more like a friend of mine instead of a space that I enter that I have to use. It's not just a shelter, it is a shelter, but it also connects with me and it knows who I am and what I want and it reacts to that, and I can also talk to my house as I talk to a friend.
It sounds super cool, but complex. How can a building understand what we feel?
For the building to know who you are and understand what you want, what your desires are, what your preferences are, we use sensors. We place these sensors in each room of a house or of an office building, and we collect data.
These sensors detect the amount of light, temperature, sound levels, and motion. For example, a sensor could detect someone moving around a room.
But that only gives us objective data values, data points. What we also want to understand is how humans feel about the space and what they prefer.
People can decide what their own preferences are. Burcin is an architect and a civil engineer, but she is using the field of computer engineering to build a smart system that is set up according to your preferences. It is basically a phone application that the more you use it, the better it gets on identifying what the user likes.
The app actually triangulates and knows the buildings that you're close to, and you choose your building and your floor and your room. Then simply using a slider, you say you prefer warmer temperatures or colder temperatures, if you want brighter or dimmer lighting, or if you want more or less airflow. And we have devised a system and that works on algorithms that correlate the objective sensor, ambient sensor data to subjective human provided data. And through those algorithms, we understand what your preferences are for different situations, and the building, after learning the preferences, acts on them and operates your space based on your personalized comfort ranges.
She explains that the app has a learning process and that it is calibrated with each input and new characteristic learned. After a point, it can predict what is going to happen in the foreseeable future. These are fun ideas that can have a very significant impact on energy consumption. Burcin's system allows that the lights are turned off when a room is empty, or control the right temperature so that there is less waste.
Buildings are the largest consumers of energy, and the most of this energy comes from 75%, close to 75% of this energy comes from fossil fuels, coal, natural gas, and petroleum. And the energy is getting more expensive and scarce. More importantly, we are contributing to global warming and with greenhouse gas emissions. And we need to rethink how we operate buildings and how we use buildings, as well as how we design buildings and how we construct buildings.
The new generation of smart buildings is being built by the ideas that challenge the norm. And this is the topic that Burcin really enjoys.
I never accepted when somebody told me this is how it is or this is how it is done. It doesn't have to be an engineering related thing. Everything in my life, if they told me this is how you are going to do, it always triggered a backlash at me. I almost didn't want to do it that way without understanding why it is done that way. So that question of why always occurred in my life. Imagination is really important to be able to ask really interesting questions.
Want to learn more about buildings, sensors, and energy efficiency? Build the activities in the Curiosity Machine. See you online.